We're back with some leaks, Chunkman, and we start this episode with a new chunk roll. And it seems we're going to South Drainer. It has a few tasks, but I immediately start with making some of them redundant by smithing up some steel gear I pickpocketed the ores from Ham members. I go over and pickpocket the Master Farmer for the thieving task, and I continue the X marks the spot quest. I follow it up with making a meat pizza from scratch. Now, about the wise old man tasks, I've done about 7 or 8 of them, and it seems that most of the rewards are pretty much junk. About 40% is just prayer XP. They take a while to do, and about half of them I can't even do to begin with in my chunks. And seeing as how rare that the diamond actually is, I choose to backlog it instead. My last task is to add some studs to a leather body. I pickpocket my way until I have enough jades to reach level 41, and then I add those studs to the body. And with that, another chunk roll. We're continuing this way by going north, Drainer Village. Here I just have to complete one lap of the agility course and start the Vampire Slayer quest. Next chunk, Ports a Rim. I start with the 42 agility grind as level 42 shortcut is the only way to enter the new chunk. Luckily, the newly unlocked course gives me some quick XP. After 47 laps, I make it to level 42 agility, and then I found out that I made a mistake. Apparently, Ports a Rim is locked since it's Asgarnia, and that's not accessible for me. So I quickly fix it by relocking the chunk, and then I select Portserim and Alcarid as rollable, and whichever gets picked first is the area that I will unlock. Okay, let's reroll. And it's Portserim again. I guess I'm unlocking Asgarnia and go to the port. I start with bringing the casket from X marks the spot, and I bring some cash as well to buy the adamant battle axe and hand in the ancient casket, which I use its lamp to boost straight to level 14 Slayer. I use my newly bought fishing rod and catch some eel back in the swamp cave. And now I just have to level up magic for a bit. I sell the longbows that I had stocked up from the fletching grind back in Lumbridge. And then I use that money to stock up on some runes to battle the Black Knight, since they have bad magic defense. After only about 45 minutes, I reach level 62 and use a blood rune that I got from the giant frogs to cast Wind Wave. Let's roll another chunk, and this time it's the South Falador farm, which has a dairy cow, so now I can make some chocolate cake. But before I do that, I do some quest steps, browse the shop for a diary task, and I start Corsair Curse. I then go back to Lumbridge to finally finish Cook's assistant quest, and I bake some bread on his stove for another task. And I do some cooking to get the chocolate cake, which is the cooking skill task. Another chunk, the farm north of Lumbridge, which is a completely free chunk at this point. And then even further north with a Varrock gate, which makes me hop over a fence, pickpocket a guard, and hand a bone to a stray dog. Next roll, and it's Drainer Manor, which only has me do Ernest the Chicken for some quest points, and I move on. Next roll, and it's the Varrock Central area, which houses a bunch of shops and some quests. So I start throwing some money on a mithril plate body, studded chaps, a maple shortbow, adamant arrows, and an air staff, monk robes, and a top, and finally an adamant sword to do all of the shopping for the best in slot. Then on to some quests. Romeo and Juliet is already done in leagues, and Demon Slayer gets started. And for Children of the Sun, I have to follow a suspicious guard and mark some guards which are on their post, and then I already get to finish a Vampire Slayer, which I just started like half an hour ago. And then we already roll another chunk. East Barricade. Here I have to steal from a tea stall and start the family crest quest. So I quickly run over and steal a cup of tea, and I talk to Dimithes, and then I get to roll a new chunk. Okay, the fast rolling of chunks has stopped. Um, yeah, this is a big one. So this time I won't actually opt out of the big grinds. So this means that I have to go down into the Varrock sewers. I have to kill a bunch of bosses for their drops. And there's also some skilling grinds, namely 70 cooking for the Admiral Pie, and 75 crafting for a slayering, and 85 smithing for a rune dagger, since Bryophyta drops some rune bars. And I start out the chunk with getting the quests out of the way. So with Demon Slayer, I get 2 of the keys. Children of the Sun, I talk to some guy and complete the quests. Shield of Olaf, I tried to complete, but I don't have anyone to trade the vouchers with. So I'm just gonna mark it as complete. And Daddy's Home, I do some stuff until I'm locked out of progress due to lack of resources. And Priest in Peril is already completed, so I don't have to do anything there. I decide to grind out some mossy keys, but apparently I reached the 4th relic in the meantime, which I use the reloads on with the power miner. And this allows me to mine for a couple of hours instead of tenths of hours. But I guess I'll do that next time. See you soon.